me so good. So I'm standing here now in the middle of Bordeaux, and this is right in the centre of the Golden Triangle. And you can see part of the Golden Triangle here on this plan of the city. There are 4 squares in the Golden Triangle. The one that you can see behind me is where the Christmas markets are being set up, so it's going to be beautiful at Christmas. But on the plan here you can see this is the opera house that was built by Victor Louis, and he also designed one of the most famous chateaux in France that we actually have on our books, and you can have a look at that on our YouTube channel. This whole area over the last 10 years was rejuvenated by the mayor of Bordeaux. It used to be quite run down and it used to be very dark. It has completely been transformed, and now it's actually voted one of the best cities in Europe. And this central area where we are now, and you see the trams coming along as well, is the best part to be. So come and have a look. So where I am here is a secret little gem that you wouldn't know, because most people just go to the central square where the Grand Hotel is and the Opera House. But if you come down one of these side streets, you find this magnificent church, which is the Church of Notre Dame, meaning Our Lady. This was actually built in the 17th century. But in these little squares and these little secret hideaways, over in the corner there is one of my favourite little coffee shops, and it leads through to a little secret street of boutiques. So let's go and have a look. So here we are at the Passage Sarget, and behind me you'll see a really lovely little cafe that I often come to, and behind that is some little boutiques and shops that you can walk through in the Passage. Just like Paris, Bordeaux has districts, and we're currently in the district 2, number 2. But let's go and have a look at the little passageway. In the secret passage, the Passage Sarget, is actually the Caviar de Neuvic shop. This is some of the best caviar in the world, and it comes from the Dordogne in a town called Neuvic. So if you fancy some delicious caviar, or even some vodka that they make now, this is in the secret passage. So here we're in Bordeaux, and obviously what's Bordeaux famous for is its wine shops. You'll find lovely wine boutiques all over the area. We're very close to Saint-Emilion, which is a magnificent town. We actually have an office there as well as Bordeaux. But you have such a brilliant selection of wines in this area. And now this passageway, the Passage Sarget, actually links from the church to the most expensive shopping street in Bordeaux. So you can cut through here, and then we'll come out into the biggest, most expensive shopping street in Bordeaux. So coming out of the passageway, we come out into Lalique. Lalique is an absolutely famous glass shop, mainly crystals and lighting, but they used to make the beautiful Art Deco lamps that you would see in all of the major hotels and the cities around the world. So this is the famous store in Lalique. So you can see behind me the trams. In the last decade, the whole of Bordeaux have put these tram lines in, and you see the trams going past. It's such a brilliant service. It means that there's no traffic, you don't have any cars on the streets. The trams come straight from the airport into the centre of Bordeaux, also goes out to the train station, and it just keeps the whole city moving. And it's really cheap. It's a really cheap service to use, and it covers the whole of Bordeaux, so you can go anywhere by tram. So as you can see in this area, shops like Zadig and Voltaire, which is a very trendy high-end shop. Actually, the grandson of Lacoste was the founder of this beautiful shop. We've also got jewellers, we've got watchmakers. I mean, the whole place is fantastic for shopping. Not so good for your credit card. So behind me here is the Place de Grand Homme. This is another one of the 4 squares that are in the Golden Triangle. There's an undercover market that goes down there, and you've got plenty of stores for shopping. I mean, this really is the best area for shopping. Let's go and have a look. See behind me, we've got a beautiful champagne store with Reinhardt, one of the very, very expensive but delicious champagnes. Over to my left, you have another wine store. I mean, Bordeaux is famous for its wines. Some of the best wines in the world are produced in the Bordeaux region. And there is actually an interactive live museum called the Cité du Vin in Bordeaux, which you really, really must go and visit. You can, on the top floor, you've got panoramic views of the whole of Bordeaux, and you can taste whatever wine you like, and there's choices of maybe 400, and you can have a glass of whichever one you like. Really, really worth a visit. As you can see behind me, we have one of the original brasseries in Bordeaux. Now, a brasserie used to be a brasserie, which means for beer, mixing beer. And brasseries were developed in the 19th century to feed everyone, whether you were poor or you were rich. You could eat at any time of the day in a brasserie. Now, if, like me, you live in France or you've been to French restaurants, you know that they're only open between 12 and 2. And if you get there at 1:30, you're too late. But the brasserie caters for all times of day. So you can eat lovely French cuisine. It's all catered for, French cuisine, for all age groups, all times of the day. And these beautiful old buildings, as you can see behind me, with the original glass conservatory roof, all over Bordeaux. And they were originally created in Paris, and now you'll see the brasseries all over the world. So there's lots of these really pretty little stores with decoration for your home, and really unique. Nothing is like this. They're all little individual stores. So the great thing about shopping in Bordeaux is not only the fabulous little boutiques everywhere and all original, but look at the weather. It's almost 20 degrees here, and we could be Christmas shopping in the centre of Bordeaux. And so that's what is so great about where it's located in the southwest of France, is you have this fabulous weather in November. This here is a very, very popular square, probably the most popular in the centre of Bordeaux. It's where the Cathedral is, which is in front of me. To the right there we have the Hotel de Ville, which is the Mayor's office. And directly behind that, we at Leggett have opened a new office. But you can see this is really popular. It's a really popular square. It's very safe for children. It's all pedestrianised, apart from bicycles that will come through. And again, you can see, you know, this is the middle of November, and everybody's still sitting outside, having their coffees, having their lunch, visiting the Mairie, or of course going into the big tourist attraction, which is the Bordeaux Cathedral. Such a lovely place. So over here on my left is the Café Français. It's been built in 1899. It's the oldest brasserie and the most famous brasserie in the whole of Bordeaux. As you can see, they're just starting the lunchtime period coming in now. It serves all types of French traditional dishes, and it's really, really famous for that. Now you see it's only 12 o'clock lunchtime, but by 1 o'clock you won't get a table here. So if you are going to come to the brasserie, the Café Français, do book a table, or come along later on because it's open all day, and it's directly in front of the cathedral, so you've got such an amazing view. So in front of the cathedral here in Bordeaux, you see some of these plaques. When they were actually putting this street in place and they were digging down, they actually found the remains of the 13th century facade of this cathedral that was pulled down really in the 13th century because the floor was very unstable, and it was moved back, and hence why we have the cathedral that you can see behind me now. Now what's interesting was Eleanor of Aquitaine was married here, and she married Louis VII of France. In 1152 that marriage was annulled, and she went on to marry the future King of England, Henry II, and she became Eleanor, the Queen of England. If you go to Angoulême, which is 20 minutes from here, from Bordeaux on the train, you'll actually see Eleanor of Aquitaine's house, and that is now the Hotel de Ville, the Mary's office in Angoulême. So this is where she was married, her first marriage to Prince Louis VII of France. So behind me here, you'll see the Palace of Rohan. It's now the Hotel de Ville. It's where the mayor's office is. But originally, it was for the Archbishop of Rohan. He had this palace built for himself in 1771, and it was finished in 1784. But after the revolution in 1835, it was taken by the Town Hall, and it became Bordeaux City Hall. So here we have another plan in the triangle, in the Golden Triangle. So here, on my left is the cathedral, which is right in front of me. Here is the Hotel de Ville, which is the Mary's office. And behind is the Museum of Beaux-Arts, which is where all the beautiful art is. And this little street here is actually where the new Leggett office is. I think we need to have a little plaque built there on this map. This is what I love about Bordeaux and what I love about France. Behind me here, it's a Tuesday afternoon in November. It's sunny, and there's a little market selling books, lovely old books on art, geography, cookery. What a wonderful square. Coming from the cathedral into the road directly opposite is this beautiful building behind me, if you have a look at the stunning architecture. Now this was actually owned by General Charles de Gaulle, and he lived in this house at the time when the war was being carried out, and the Germans had occupied most of France, but this part was still free France, and this is where General Charles de Gaulle lived before he went to the UK to live and joined the Allies in the UK. Next door to the home of General Charles de Gaulle is actually now the residence of the Préfet, who is the head of the prefecture, and he now resides in this absolutely beautiful home. In front of me is the Café Biodrome, and this is where they serve the Canelés. Now these are specialities of Bordeaux. They're little cinnamon cakes. Come and have a look in the window and I'll show you. Very delicious. Here we have them in all different flavours. You've got the vanille, you've got them as presents for Christmas, but they are the speciality and they come from Bordeaux.
several days later.
So I'm back in Bordeaux for part 2 of our tour of Bordeaux. There's so much to see here, we couldn't fit it all in one go. As you can see behind me, we've got the Place de la Bourse, where we ended our tour last time. In front of me we have the Pont de Pierre, which is the stone bridge that's over there on the river Garonne, and we're going to go over and have a look at the Bastide side, which is the right bank of Bordeaux. This area is being really developed over the last 10 years. It's dynamic buildings, really nice architecture, lots of new apartments coming on the market for sale with gorgeous views over the river. And the great thing about being on that bank is that you have this view of the beautiful Place de la Bourse and all of the front line of the old Bordeaux city. So 2 completely different areas. The lovely thing about being in a city, particularly in Bordeaux, is how beautiful the gardens are. So if you just wanted to come and sit and eat your lunch, this is a lovely rose garden right in the centre of town. And bearing in mind, we're in December and it's still growing and it's still flowering, and that's because we've got the lovely mild weather of the southwest of France. So behind me you can see the street as we're going down to the main tower. This was actually built in 1801. You've got loads of different shops, you've got design shops, you've got little boutiques. Up on the wall there it says Huiles, Savons et Fromage. So originally that would have sold oils and soaps and cheeses. But behind me now it's just a whole load of restaurants, loads of choice, all on the riverbank. So even in the winter now, we're in December and the tables and chairs are still outside. On a beautiful day. It's early morning at the moment, but these tables will be all full by lunchtime and everybody enjoying their lunch. So let's go and have a look. And you can see up on the wall here the mascarons. These are really famous in Bordeaux. You'll find them on nearly every building, and there are over 3,000 of them. And there was some crazy photographer that photographed each one individually. They represent all sorts of different types of things, famous people, and every single face or animal is different. And in the fountains, obviously, they're spurting water. What you can see now is one of the very, very famous landmarks in Bordeaux. This is the Porte de Cailloux. This was built in the 15th century in the reign of Charles VIII. And you can actually see the glory of the building. It was all about the wealth. It was all about celebrating the king. And you can see the king is actually in the middle of this gate. Now, this particular gate would have had thick walls going all the way behind these 19th century buildings or 17th century buildings, and this would have protected the whole of Bordeaux. It would have been the ramparts, and this would have been one of the entry points into the old city of Bordeaux. There's only 2 remaining gates like this in the whole city from the 15th century, and this one you can come and visit, you can go inside the building. It's absolutely stunning, and it's just so lovely to see that it's been protected from the 15th century. You can see here the thickness of this wall. This is all that remains of the big gates wall, and that would have gone all the way around the city of Bordeaux, protecting it from any outsiders or any invasions. Another wine shop. One thing that Bordeaux has plenty of is definitely wine shops, so you must come and try some. Here we've got another little arty restaurant. So much choice in Bordeaux, I just don't know where to choose for lunch today. So here we are in this little centre corner behind Place de la Bourse, and you can see it's just a maze of little cobbled streets full of life. There's music. At lunchtime this is going to be really, really busy, and there's so many different choices of restaurants all over the place. It's great. You know how much I love my gardens. This shop is designer outdoor furniture for beautiful homes. Definitely going to have a quick look in here.
2 hours later.
Thank God I didn't have my credit card with me. So as you can see, this whole street is extremely bourgeois, and we're lucky enough to have a very rare property in this building here, which would have been a hotel particular. The apartment that we have for sale in this particular building is the only building, the only apartment that actually has a terrace as well. Stunning, very, very rare to get these apartments, but this is the sort of thing we can find for you. If you're looking for a gorgeous bourgeois apartment in Bordeaux, then do come and see us. The apartment that we have for sale is this one in the corner here. It goes all the way around, 6 windows, and talk about luxury. It has its own garage with a lift, so you can actually put 2 cars in. That's real decadence. To be in the centre of Bordeaux, have a lift for your car, and have this gorgeous corner apartment with the great big windows. So we're now here in the Place de Comédie, which is right in the centre of the Golden Triangle that we spoke about on our last tour. We've got the Rue de Saint-Catherine, which is the shopping street. On my right, we've got the shopping street with all the designer and high-end brand shops. Behind me, we've got the best hotel in Bordeaux, and it's right opposite the Royal Opera House. And the Opera House is fantastic. I've seen Swan Lake in there, the ballet, which was amazing. But here, the Intercontinental, if you really want to treat yourself to a weekend, you want to book the opera and stay at the Grand. And the restaurant in the Grand is actually Gordon Ramsay. So here we are in the Place de Quinconce, another square of the Golden Triangle, a prestigious area, very, very beautiful. And behind me is the monument. It is the Fontaine de Girondins and the Monument de Girondins, otherwise known as the Colonne de Girondins by the Bordelais people. This monument is 54 metres high, and what it represents, it was built just at the end of the 19th century after the Revolution, and it was to represent the people that died during the terror of the Revolution. It's one of the most beautiful fountains in France itself. It's not having the water at the moment because we're in December, but in the summer it's so worth a visit to see the fountain in its full glory. So right next to the Fontaine de Girondins, there's this brocante, which I didn't actually know was here, but now I do. I'll be coming back. So you can buy loads of different objects that can decorate your home that you buy through Leggett.
That's what she said.
And you can see here they've got all sorts of lovely old vintage cutlery, plates, furniture. I mean, there's just everything here. Really, really interesting. Well, before I start spending too much money in here, let's take a walk. It's just over the road to the lovely public gardens of Bordeaux. They're quite large and right in the centre, still part of the Golden Triangle. So we're here now in the Jardin Public, the public gardens for everyone to enjoy in Bordeaux. This is probably the most sought after area if you're looking for an apartment, a holiday home or somewhere beautiful to live. The parks are huge. It's all pedestrianised within the park. There's a fabulous restaurant behind me that's really popular in the summer because of the gorgeous terrace that it has. So as you can see, the restaurant's terrace is quiet today, but you know, bearing in mind we're in December, usually from spring right the way till the end of the summer this terrace will be full. But the restaurant inside is beautifully dressed, and it's still open all year round. One of the other great things about Bordeaux itself is it has great universities, it has brilliant schools, it even has international schools for foreign investors that want to put their children into an English speaking school, for example. The hospitals are second to none. none. In fact, Bordeaux Hospital has some of the best cancer doctors in the whole of France. So coming past the museum here, the Museum of Science and Nature, it's an ideal opportunity to tell you all about the culture in Bordeaux. I mean, there's things to do for everyone. You've got museums like we have here in the public gardens. We've got art galleries everywhere. We have the Opera House, but there's also, you know, a huge music venue in Bordeaux de Lac where some of the big concerts are held. If you're young and you want to be in the university city, you know, there's lots of little bars and restaurants suited for all age groups. All sorts of cultural events that are held throughout the year in Bordeaux. I mean, it really is a city that has everything. So we're now coming into the Submarine base, where the exhibitions that are on today are Dali, Gaudi and Tintin. It's absolutely amazing. It's the biggest space you could ever see. You can see the water, which is where the submarines would be. There would have been about 10 submarines in this base. It's such a cultural centre, and it just shows that Bordeaux as a city has really improved. It's made the best out of all the buildings. This is in an area that they're rejuvenating, and what better way to rejuvenate it than to create an art centre with digital moving art. I hope you enjoyed the tour of Bordeaux. There was so much to see, and there's still so much to see that I couldn't have shown you in these 2 full days that we've done. Please subscribe to our channel. You can get all the details below, and if you're looking at buying a property in Bordeaux, either for investment, because it's a big student town and there's lots of new builds going up everywhere in the rejuvenated part, do contact our new team in Bordeaux, who'll be more than happy to help you. If you'd like an apartment in the old city or anywhere down this coastline just outside of Bordeaux, like Arcachon, our team can help you. And if it's not already on our website, they'll go out and find it for you. So do keep in touch. I look forward to showing you another city on next time, so do leave your comments about what you'd like to see, and I'd be more than happy to show you. Thanks very much for watching, and we hope to see you next time.